Okay, hi everybody, and this is an exciting month of February 2025. You're welcome to our speaker series at IBA New Brunswick. My name is Ebenezer, and I'm the president of IBA New Brunswick chapter here. Today, we will be talking about a very interesting topic, which is the role of cyber business analysts on cybersecurity projects. And our speaker today will be Funsha Abraham. I'll quickly take you through our profile and then we can hand it over to her. She's a highly experienced IT and cybersecurity leader and consultant, and also a published author of the Catalyst Code. So, with over 16 years of experience in both public and private sectors, she's held various roles from technical positions like database administrator or programmer analyst to leadership roles like information security leader. She currently works with one of the top North American software companies. And of course, she's excelled a lot on several cybersecurity initiatives. Her background includes significant contributions to the financial sector, not only in Canada, but of course back in West Africa. And also, she's worked on with the Federal Ministry of Communication Technology. She has multiple certifications. One of the interesting ones for me will be the CISSP. She's got the PMP, CBAP, and also she's got a master's degree. She's very passionate about mentoring and coaching aspiring cybersecurity professionals. And tonight, she will be taking us through the role of cybersecurity business analysts on cybersecurity projects. And one of the interesting things as BAs that we always want to do as well is to be able to deepen our knowledge in different, I call them domains. But of course, tonight is going to be about cybersecurity. So, without much ado, I would say if we can give a very warm welcome to our speaker tonight, Funsha Abraham, you take it away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, such a long read of the speaker's bow. Thanks all the same. And I want to say thank you to the audience for joining IIBA New Brunswick. Thanks for giving me this platform to share my expertise. And I think I have to share my screen and
Yeah, please go
okay,
ahead.
yeah, okay, yeah. Let me know if you see my screen.
It's perfect. We can see it now.
Okay, I think that's more. I will stop sharing and I'll
Yeah,
stop
you
sharing
can put it on slide mode, slideshow
on
mode.
s- yeah. Can you please do I know how to do that?
Okay, just go down.
Okay,
Just keep going down. No, no, to the right. Go to the right a little bit.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
almost. Yeah, you see where your cursor is? Then go to the left. Just straight on that line. Keep going to the left. Keep going to the left on
okay.
that horizon. Then stop. Yeah, that's it. Just click on that one.
Okay, good. I think this
Then
is
you're perfect. Awesome.
okay. All right. So I hope everyone can hear me.
We can hear you perfectly. You take it
Okay.
away.
So without wasting too much of our time, because I see that the time is fast gone, and hopefully I'm able to wrap up everything I have prepared in the slide. I feel we should just kick into the business of the day without wasting too much of our time. And as you all know, we are here to dissect the roles of a business analyst on cybersecurity projects. And before I dive deeper into the main topic of today, there are some cybersecurity concepts that I feel we need to clarify, and this is for the benefit of those who might be new to this domain, either business analysis or cybersecurity or even IT in general. And setting this pace earlier on during this session would help clear so much ambiguity as we progress along the line. So, and the first concept I would want us to clarify tonight will be the something we call the CIA triad. And I believe that a lot of us might be familiar with what the CIA triad is all about. Some people call it the basics of cybersecurity. Some people call it the fundamentals of cybersecurity. Some people call it the principles of cybersecurity. Whichever These are referring to the CIA triad, which consists of three components: the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability. So one by one, I will also break down this so that we will understand, especially for the people that are just trying to find their feet within the industry. So confidentiality is that pillar of the CIA's triad, which refers to the concept that only those who should have access to information can access it. So usually I would use relatable scenario analogy to demonstrate concept. So I'm sure we all work on in different organizations. We have access to different applications, maybe based on our role. So for some people, based on their role, let's assume you work in the payroll as part of the payroll team, you might have the access to the payroll system. Whereas someone who is a front desk officer, for instance, might not have access to that solution, the payroll system. Also, in terms of data, there are different categorization of data. We have there are some data that through your asset categorization, you've determined that some information are confidential, some are public, some are sensitive. So based on this, that means that there are levels of people that will have access to what and what within the organization. For instance, your sensitive information might be restricted to the top management. So for someone like me and you who are analysts, we might not be able to have access into such information. And this is what confidentiality is trying to enforce. One granular principle that will also further help enforce confidentiality would be principle of least privilege, which indicates that users should be given access limited to what they need to carry on their day-to-day activities, nothing more. So if you are help desk, for instance, you will have access to ticketing system. But if you are maybe an accountant or something, you will not have access to go into ticketing system and troubleshoot ticketing system. So that's what confidentiality is talking about. Then the next one is integrity. So again, integrity, I will use another relatable scenario, but let me just describe integrity part of the CIA triad. Is the pillar of the CIA triad, which refers to the principle that data is what we expect it to be. So with this, any information we don't want to change, we don't want it to be modified or edited, then controls have to be in place in order to enforce integrity. So again, let's take for instance an Excel document. I'm sure we've all worked with a spreadsheet. Assuming you're working with a spreadsheet and you feel the need to update a particular cell within the spreadsheet, but there's this pop-up telling you you do not have the permission, meaning that the owner of that document must have put a control in place debarring someone to update that data, meaning that maybe that data is not meant to change, or that particular person does not have ability to change that data. So in order for that person to go ahead with that change, the pop-up will let the person know that they need to seek permission from the owner. So, and if the person proceeds, the owner will get notified that somebody is trying to update this document. So, and if the owner feels that the person should be able to update the document, that the control will be modified. So, in essence, this is what integrity is trying to enforce. That is to say, data must be what is meant to be, nothing more, no, is not expected to change. And the last piece of this CIA triad is what we call availability, which is the pillar of the CIA triad, which refers to the principle that data is reliably available. So I want to say us taking confidentiality and integrity a step further with availability. Because of what point is it that you have access to a particular solution, like in my example, the payhouse solution or the ticketing system, or okay, now the ticketing system, you are a service desk officer, you are able to log in, troubleshoot tickets in and out of that solution. But of what use would this be when you need to do this and these are not available? An example would be let's say there's a significant power outage running into hours. So if plans have not been in place to salvage those kind of situation, by like providing a backup generator so that critical business applications will be kept up and running, how would we how would this be? for that organization. And based on the services any organization is offering, we might not be able to go offline for a very long time, or for an extended period. So availability is very, very important. Integrity is very important. Confidentiality is very important. Another relatable experience with availability is, I'm sure we must have heard of the bad boys from the darknet holding, maybe getting hold of companies' vital information and holding that vital data to ransom, demanding for huge sum of money in order to get back the data, which is what we call ransomware. So all of these all of these components forms the CIA triad, and the entire cybersecurity ecosystem boils down to these three things. I know that cybersecurity is broad, so but with the broadness, if you look at it in depth, it's coming from these three components altogether. So that's why I feel that we need to set this space earlier before we move further. Then another thing I need to also clarify is that as a successful business analyst, you have to understand your business, because it will be very impossible to create a robust cybersecurity strategy without understanding the business. So, as a BA, you must first identify your business goal to create a security program that matches them. And in order to do this, you need to start asking clarifying questions and do your homework so that you can understand the true purpose of the business as well as the industry sector that is part of it. So, and we all know that as a BA, you must be very inquisitive. You must be able to ask question, including probing question, in order to fully understand what the business is trying to achieve. So then one more thing I also want us to have at the back of our mind is that security is not an add-on. It's not an afterthought. So what I'm trying to say here is that for every processes, especially in today's world, security should be built into that processes from the beginning to the end. It shouldn't come after, otherwise, it's going to be more cost effective to correct it if we don't embed it from the beginning. And for this, I will want to adopt the principle of security by design and the security by default. So it should be an integral part of the company's culture, especially in this digital era where cyber attacks have become one of the topmost risks that businesses across all sectors face. So finding ways to prevent those attacks is very crucial. So just add that at the back of your mind that security must is not an afterthought. Then more core cybersecurity concept that I also want us to clarify before we get into the deal of the business analyst is risk management. Risk management is broad. It exists in every sectors of life, including life itself is risky. So we must understand risk assessment, which is you analyzing every kind of risk that are peculiar to your environment or to your business or to your processes. And we must also understand the risk mitigation strategies, risk treatment. On a broader note, that maybe we are familiar with the four categories of risk treatment, depending on the risk, which are risk avoidance, risk acceptance, risk mitigation, risk transference. And we must also understand tools and the technologies that would help us prioritize and help us manage risk effectively. More basic concepts we need to understand threats and vulnerabilities. Some people actually mix this thing together. Learn some for instance, a threat is the possibility of something that could cause an harm to your business, to your environment, whereas vulnerability is the weakness that will be exploited by the threat. Do you understand? So, in this case, if I'm to use a relatable experience, let's say there's a house that is built in a flood-prone environment. That house has a fence, but that fence has a hole. So in this case, that hole would be the vulnerability, because if there's heavy flood, it is possible that water will flood in through that hole that is not that has not been blocked or mitigated. So, and the threat in this case will be the flood. So we must understand the difference between these terminologies. We must understand common attacks like phishing, ransomware, which I've already talked about, and all of that. Then data protection is something we should also have at the back of our mind that is very paramount. Data is like lifeline, is one of the most critical assets any organization would have. And like I mentioned earlier, data could be categorized into sensitive, public, and all of that. So your sensitive documents data, for instance, I want to believe that we all know that we are going to protect, we are going to guide those jealously. You are not going to accord your public data the same level of protection you're going to accord your sensitive or confidential data because your public data could as well be up on your website, but sensitive data will not be so. So controls, different control, the controls you're going to use to protect each of these category determines on the value they carry within the organization. We must also be familiar with some data protection mitigation strategies like encryption, which is you converting a plain text into a cipher text. And for somebody to convert that data into plain text, the person must have the decryption key, data masking, secure storage techniques, and several other techniques. Access management is another key important domain or subject within the cybersecurity ecosystem. You must understand identity and access management, IAM. I'm sure we must have been seeing a lot of BA on IAM projects. Those are the kind of roles I see the high demand for business analysts. We must understand more granular principle of access management, such as least privilege, which I've talked about, role-based access control, segregation of duty. And we must also understand incident response, the entire life cycle, what happens when an incident is detected. I want to believe the first thing we need to do in this circumstance is to quickly mitigate the affected system. And before the incident response plan would even be finalized, there might be some things, there should be some things that would have gone ahead during the planning of either incident response planning or business continuity planning or disaster recovery planning. And one key thing that business analysts would also be involved during these plannings that I just mentioned would be to conduct business impact assessment, BIA, in order for you to dictate or identify your critical assets. So, and while isolating the affected system in this incident response lifecycle, which I feel should be the first step, you want to ensure that those critical assets, which your BIA has identified, must be kept up and running where possible. So, all of these are things that I feel we need to clarify before we go into the business of the day. So, okay, before we move into the business of the day, like I said, I want this class to be a bit engaging. I don't like to feel like I'm talking to myself. And the one key topic that will be takeaway for us tonight, the number one thing is who we are. And we, in this case, is business analysts on cybersecurity project. So I want to encourage us to I want to engage you. So please pop up those things do you think we have on cybersecurity projects in the comment section, and let me have those things. Maybe the host can read those for me before I move, before swipe to the next slide. Who do you think we have on cybersecurity projects?
So one of the things that I see here is that someone said they're excited about the series, and especially as it relates to a BA performing security audits, so security audits and security assessment. That's one of the things we believe that we need to do on cybersecurity project. So someone says we are a bridge between business and the technical team. Yeah, and I would also say that you know, I'm very excited about cloud solutions. So I one of the interesting things that you talk about was the principle of least privilege, and I also like the fact that you mentioned the that security shouldn't be an afterthought; it should be factored in. So usually, in my experience, I see us putting security as an afterthought. Not necessarily as an afterthought, but, and I'd explain what I'm trying to say. So, of course, the natural thing we'll do as BAs is to have, okay, these are functional requirements. So, it's security requirements are usually amongst the non-functional requirements. It's critical, of course. Security is critical, but of course, I think that's one of the things that we need to put it on the front burner so that we don't get hacked or. So I think that's just some of the comments that I have on here. But I think as more
Fantastic.
comes in, we can read it. So, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I love the engagement, honestly. You people make me proud, and I must say I really like the engagement. It shows that I'm not talking to myself. So all we have on cybersecurity project, everything you guys have said are perfectly correct. But I've already prepared my slide, so and I need to also shed some light on this. As a BA on cybersecurity project, you act as a critical link between its stakeholders, which is normal for every project, as even outside a cybersecurity project. And who are these stakeholders? The technical teams and the business unit. You are the liaison between the business and development. So the BA ensures the cybersecurity initiative aligns with organizational goals, complies with regulation, and address risk effectively. As a BA, your role in a project is to ensure that the project is well defined, well communicated, and delivered successfully. As a business analyst in cybersecurity, you bridge the gap between business need, security teams, and technology by first identify security requirement based on business objective. So yeah, uh, as a BA, we know that requirement gathering is one of the most important deliverables of a business analyst. So for cybersecurity project, you want to ensure that these security requirements are perfectly aligned with the overall corporate business objective. Otherwise, it's not going to worth it. You analyze risk and vulnerability in business processes. You're defining documenting security controls aligned with frameworks such as NIST, ISO 27001, PCI DSS, and many more. I was very impressed when I joined and I saw you people were already discussing some of this framework. I heard the mention of PIPEDA, and it shows that I'm not just talking to novice. You support compliance and regulatory initiatives such as SOC 2, GDPR, EPA. You facilitate communication between stakeholders. Stakeholders could be IT teams, it could be compliance team, it could be leadership, it could be security teams, it could be operations, and all of that. So, and we are going to come across this regulatory frameworks a lot. So, and I've dedicated some part of this slide to give a brief description of what each framework is doing and who needs to comply, maybe towards the end of the session. So I hope time permits me to get to the end, and let's go. So, and these are the key responsibilities of cybersecurity business analyst. And this is not exhaustive, so I believe that it's more than this. I'm sure that if I ask you guys to pop in so many the responsibility, we will have much more. So, but because of our time, let's just get going with the slide I've prepared. So you identify stakeholders' need, you collaborate with stakeholders, which I already mentioned earlier on in the before slide, e.g., IT teams, compliance, and business leaders, and you to understand the cybersecurity concerns and goals. So, like we all know, you are the liaison between the business and the development. So the business will tell you what they need to do, then you relate this, you take it to development. You have to relate with development in such a way that they will understand. You might even have to create or provide some delivery, some artifacts, which is more relatable to the technical teams and all of that. So you support documentation and compliance. A BA develop business requirement documentation for security initiatives. I don't know if you guys know that I was once a BA. I once worked as a senior BA. So I know these are artifacts, and I'm not just a novice in business analysis as well. So I know that the business requirement documentation is what you decompose to the functional specification document, which could be technical diagrams, user diagram, requirement matrix, and all of that for security initiatives. You support compliance audits such as PCI DSS, SOC 2, FedRAM, by ensuring business alignment. Because at the end of the day, everything has to align with the corporate business objective. You assist in policy development. You could, I know that on on cybersecurity projects, BA could be involved with policy assessment, policy updating, or even the development of fresh policies. Examples of policies relating to cybersecurity will be access control policy, data protection policy, incident response. In fact, not just policy, even standard and procedure, because standards is derived from policy. Policy itself is derived from framework and all of that. So, and this particular responsibility is what we know that, what we know that BA is very necessary to do. Define requirements. Here you gather, you document, you prioritize both your functional and non-functional requirements for cybersecurity solutions, such as identity and access management, IAM, data protection and encryption. In fact, these two topics are one of the most common cybersecurity projects requiring BA that I've seen. Security incident response. It could be business continuity planning. It could be disaster recovery planning as well, compliance with regulatory frameworks, and so on and so forth. So now, this is also in continuation with the responsibilities of a business analyst, risk assessment and gap analysis. So here, the current state assessment as a BA is one of our most important deliverables as well. This is where you evaluate your existing security processes or procedure, systems or tools to identify vulnerability and gaps. And if there are gaps, you document this for your next step. And even during this current state assessment, you might even have to conduct some things we call threat modeling. And with threat modeling, you are able to identify potential security risk in your business processes. There are popular threat methodology techniques. We have strides, we have threats, meta attack. All of these are used to model threat. So, and I want to encourage us, we have to be very inquisitive with learning, because I know a lot of people say that as a BA, you don't need to be technical. Well, I don't know if I should agree with that or not, but I know that for you to be able to deliver, and if you don't want to struggle on your cybersecurity project, all of these terminologies, you're not just going to know them on the surface. You have to have an in-depth understanding of these things. So, and there are so many free resources out there, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, that you can use to make your work easy, make your life easy. So you also work with security architect to prioritize security enhancements. And with gap analysis, this is where you compare your current capability, which you did during the current state assessment, with best practices or compliance standard in order to identify areas of improvement. So, and still on the responsibilities of BA on cybersecurity projects, we have the solution design and validation. And here I categorize it into three broad sessions just on a high level. The first one is to ensure, we want to ensure that the cybersecurity framework aligns with whatever solution we are proffering. You want to ensure the business on its own would have selected the framework they want to go with, and your controls will be derived from this framework, either NIST, either ISO or CIS controls, and then the collaborate part. This collaborate part, if you are looking at it from the project management or business analysis standpoint, it will be more, it could be like up to 7 steps, especially going with waterfall methodologies. But I just compress it because here we're talking security. So there's no time for all those initiation, planning, design, development, and all that. So here you collaborate on solution designs, and you work with your architects, you work with your security teams to design secure, scalable, and business-aligned cybersecurity solution. And before you deploy, then I have this last part, which is validate. Testing is very important. Here you want to test that the proposed solution satisfy customers' need, and it meets both the business and security requirements. So these are part of the things I'm sure for those of us that are practicing business analysis already, these are not new to you. These are the things you do on a day-to-day, on project to project. So, and part of the responsibilities of cybersecurity BA could be security awareness and training. I know that when I was working as a BA, I was involved in some of some of my tasks were around the development of security and awareness training. Here you act as a liaison between business and security teams to promote cybersecurity culture within the organization. And you can also help develop training programs for technical and non-technical audience. And here I want to emphasize that as a BA, you need to study your audience. Your audience determine your approach to communication. If you are talking to technical teams, you're free to go with your technical linguals. But if you are getting back or relating back to business, and majority of the business stakeholders might be non-technical stakeholders, you have to come down to their level. For instance, if I had to explain the concept of a DLP, data loss protection, I just refer them to them. I liken it to them going to like Superstore or Walmart or even all these high-end show stores where they sell expensive shoes and bag. There's this tag they put on those things, and that tag is a control. So on an attempt for anyone to take those items out of that store, either consciously or unconscious or subconsciously without paying for it, an alert will be triggered, which means the alert is notifying the officers, the cashiers, that a particular item is about to be taken away without being paid for. So I just liken the concept of a DLP with something they could relate with, because that is also like a data loss prevention. Those items is valuable to them, and they do not want it to be taken away from the organization or from the store without being paid for. So part of the things you do under security awareness and training will be to ensure security policies are well understood, well adopted, and enforced. Is another thing to have security policy. Enforcement is key. So for you to enforce it, audit and compliance activity might be involved. That's where you're checking if people are actually complying with these policies. So then on project management, this is another thing we as BA do on our cybersecurity project documentation, which I've already mentioned. Yeah, you want to maintain clear documentation, including your business requirements. I've talked about functional specification documents. I've talked about things like technical diagrams and all of that. Your process mapping, your process flow, your security standards. You have to maintain an inventory of clear documentation. Then with stakeholders management, you are the one facilitating the communication between technical and non-technical stakeholders. You are the one translating requirements into business terms and all of that. Then with change management process, as BA, we know the importance of following proper change management process on our projects in general. If anybody wants a change to happen on a project, you know that they have to follow the proper change management standard, which could start with them submitting a change request. So all of these are things we do on cybersecurity project, just like any other project. Then more of the things we do on cybersecurity projects includes process improvement. So here you want to identify process inefficiencies, analyze your current workflows to identify areas of opportunity for streamlining cybersecurity processes. Let's take, for instance, Nokia. When technologies, all these mobile phones were newly developed, Nokia was a big player in the market, but because they refused to adapt to change, in IT in general, you snooze, you lose. So before we knew it, BlackBerry took over. Then BlackBerry did the same thing. So if we are talking about giant or industry player in the mobile phone development, now we'll be talking about Apple's or Samsung and maybe the LG's. So we must be receptive to change just to improve our processes. Otherwise, you're going to give your competitors an edge over you. Then here you want to assist in enhancing security awareness, support the creation of training programs, which I believe we've already talked about in some of the previous slides, to improve staff awareness of cybersecurity best practices. So the role of a business analyst on cybersecurity projects or on project generally are so enormous, and that's why there's demand for business analysts in all sectors. And we also need to why we should also not be the laid back BA. when things are changing, learn as much as you can so that you will not be relegated, and you are still current with industry change and trend. Then another thing that BA would also might be involving on cybersecurity projects is vendor analysis. And here is you are assisting with evaluating third-party tools and services, ensuring they meet technical security and business requirements. Also as a BA, you might be involved from I remember when I was working as a BA, I've been involved from projects from end to end, from initiation, even from vendor selection. And I was heavily invested with the development of the RFPs and RFI. So with this, you can help draft and evaluate requests for proposals or requests for information for cybersecurity projects or solutions. So and yeah, so and another thing that I feel we might be needed for on cybersecurity projects is risk and security metrics. So here, a BA work with different teams to define, track metrics such as vulnerability remediation timelines, incident response timeline, or compliance status. And so now, I don't know if your delivery, if you have senior management as part of the consumers of your deliverables, because for me, even when I was a BA and even right now, most of my deliverables are being consumed by top management. So let me warn you here, the senior management, they don't like grammar, and they don't like grammar, and they don't also like technical jargons. What they want to see is number trending. So yeah, this is where you prepare concise reports or dashboard to communicate security project progress to and outcomes to your senior leadership, such as compliance status, incident response timing that we've mentioned about, and good tools that will help you to achieve this would be things like Power BI, MicroStrategy, dashboard, the tableaus, and all of that. So like I said, the roles of business analysts are so enormous, and that's why we are highly in demand, and we should be proud of what we do as BA. So I would also want us to also engage here. What are the uh, skills that we need to be successful as a BA on cybersecurity project? Again, let's pop those in the comment section, and the host can read it for me. And let's see how it goes. The skills you are required to be successful as a BA.
Yeah, I think the chats are coming. Um, I think the chats are still coming. Okay, communication skills.
Beautiful.
That's one. Any other ones?
Okay,
Okay,
maybe he
so
comes in, because of our time, I'll just take it over from here. So thank you, Aderonke, for that
analytical skills, yeah, is
analytic.
also very important. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very important skill, because and I also have that on my slides.
Problem solving. Problem solving is another one. And facilitation skills is another one. I think technical skills like network security is also another one. Risk management skills is another one.
Beautiful.
Good active listening skills is another one.
Thank you so much. I
And
really
somebody said ability to explain technical jargons. Thank you. Awesome. Go ahead, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so engaging, and I like that. So, the key skills of cybersecurity business analyst will be everything you mentioned, and just to talk a little about the slide I made, the technical knowledge. I cannot overemphasize this basic understanding of cybersecurity concepts, e.g., firewalls, encryption, IAM, vulnerability management. I've briefly explained all of this as firewall. Firewall is a solution that you use to uh, you set a rule on it to either allow or deny permissions, actions, on different across applications. So, a lot of people might not know what's even this firewall, and so you need those technical skills. You should be able to understand what all this thing implies. You need your analytical skill as a BE. You must have the ability to analyze complex security challenges and present actionable recommendation. Stakeholders will tell them what their concerns. So you should be able to profile a solution that is fit for the purpose as a BE. You need your communication skills, and this is highly needed, very essential to bridge the gap between technical teams and business stakeholders. Like, imagine business stakeholders relating directly with developers. I think it's going to be catastrophe. So that's why we are needed. You must also have regulatory knowledge. You must understand. I'm sure when I came in, somebody was talking about GDPR. So before we finish, I'm going to talk a little about all of these things. You need to understand GDPR, ISO, NIST, and all of those. You must have problem-solving skill. I'm glad that everything you guys mentioned somehow fit it into the slide I prepared already. So now to the common regulatory framework, because without framework, there's no security, there's no control. And we keep coming into NIST, GDPR, ISO, and I'm sure that you must have been seeing them on job posts. And maybe some people are just wondering, what are these things? So we need to just clarify this a bit. And the first one we'll be looking at today, uh, apologies, we might be a bit late, because I didn't take over on time, but I
Please
promise
go
you.
ahead. Please take your time. No worries. That's fine.
Okay. So the first one we'll be looking at today is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS. Very important standard developed by PCI Standard Security Council, which have the PCI Standard Security Council is created by the joint big card companies, Visa, MasterCard, Discovery, and JCB. And so they formed the council, and the council set up these PCI requirements. PCI requirements, we have about 6 goals and 12 requirements around network access, networking, access control, encryption, and all of that. So the focus of payment card industry. So before I go into the focus, so who needs to comply? Or what business needs to comply with PCI DSS? Merchants, as long as you take card payments, you must comply with PCI DSS. So though there are categories, we have level 1 to 4, which I'm not going to go into details of that. Payment processing companies like I mentioned merchants like Walmart, they take card payments. If you have a business, you take card payments, you might be obligated, because PCI is more than a framework, is a contractual obligation. You need to comply to it. Any kind of stores, any merchant that take card payments, either credit card or debit card, the card, your informations are there. But when the goal of PCI DSS is to ensure that those information are encrypted, they are protected, and attacker will not will not compromise it. So the focus is protecting card data during processing, transmission, and storage. And the key requirements of this standard is to ensure that you encrypt transmission of card reader data, your name, your card number, everything is encrypted. And we talked briefly about encryption at the beginning. That's converting plain text to ciphertext. So anyone that will be able to read that data has to have the decryption code key in order to turn it back to readable text. Then it also includes implementing strong access control measures. We've talked about access control already, regularly test and monitor networks. So these are the key goals of PCI DSS. And the relevance of this standard to cybersecurity is that it is vital for e-commerce or payment processing. Then another company that needs to comply with PCI DSS will be service provider. uh, Service provider, if the service provider or these tech companies, if they have any SaaS products or any SaaS offering like Microsoft Office 365, like my company, we have a robust antivirus. Anybody can just buy the antivirus and they pay through the credit card. So, and we have so many other SaaS products, SaaS offerings. So service provider too, they need to comply. But based on the volume of your transaction, that determines the level of PCI uh, PCI uh, attestation that you should get. Then it's also relevant to enforce strong authentication mechanism. So that is briefly the explanation of PCI on a high level. It's actually broader. So then the next one we'll be looking at is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. So this is a US regulation which is focusing on protecting sensitive health information, PHI. The health industry is highly regulated. The PHI, that's the private health information, protected health information, sorry, is something that we should guide jealously. Because if someone gets hold of your PHI, they could do anything with it, read all your medical information, your lab test, and it's very dangerous, because a lot of things are happening. So this has to be protected. And the key requirement for this is to provide safeguard for data confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You remember we said this piece earlier on during this at the beginning. It's also conduct risk assessment and management and access control as well as auditory. And the relevance of this framework to cybersecurity is that it is critical for healthcare projects involving patient data. The patient data is very, very important. It's not something we should joke with. Otherwise, the fines could be heavy, and the breaches of this framework is not only about the fines. Reputational damage is there, losing your customers to competitors is there. So we do not want to joke with all of these things. The next one we want to look at tonight will be the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and is an European Union regulation. The focus of this is for personal data protection and privacy for European Union residents. Uh, and not just European residents. If any organization that has customers that have customers residing in Europe too would have to comply with GDPR. Then GDPR is about one of the most robust privacy regulation that I've ever seen. So some organization in North America, even without any involvement with European Union, could adopt it if they feel that it will help secure the organization, because like I said, it's very robust as far as privacy is concerned. And the key requirements of this regulation will be data protection by design and default. We mentioned the concept of security by design and default. So this is data protection by design and default. And there's also within GDPR, privacy by design and default. GDPR also requires that when data breaches occur, it must be reported within 72 hours. And it also requires that any organization that are bound by GDPR must appoint data protection officer. So some organization might implement GDPR if they are not bound by it, but maybe they implement it just to improve their security posture. For those ones, they might not need to appoint a data protection officer because they are not obligated to. But as long as they are obligated to, they must appoint data protection officer. And the relevance of this to cybersecurity is to ensure robust access control, encryption, and monitoring of personal data in projects, in security projects. The next framework or heart of regulation we want to look at is Federal Information Security Management Act, which is FISMA. This is again another US law. Also, sorry, I want to take you back a little. So the privacy regulation for Canada, the Canada version will be PIPEDA. So I didn't put this here because I just thought I can't go over all of those. So FISMA is safeguarding government data and information system. So any organization, especially those contractor and agency that handles government systems, they have to comply with FISMA. The key requirements are regular risk assessments and system audits, continuous monitoring and incident response. And the relevance to cybersecurity will be applicable for federal agencies and contractors managing government system, just like I've mentioned. And the next one will be NIST, CSF. So NIST is very broad, and there are different NIST framework. So there's NIST RMF now. NIST RMF, which is not here because, like I said, time will not permit to talk about everything, is NIST Risk Management Framework, which is NIST 837. maybe you must have seen that before, is used to implement robust risk management framework. So and one thing with NIST is that they are free to use. So any organization that want to adopt it, we can just go on the website of NIST and download them. There's also NIST 853. That's for implementation of controls after the risk assessment. There's 853A, 853B, but tonight we'll be looking at NIST cybersecurity framework, which focuses to provide best practices for managing cybersecurity risk. And the key component, if you go on NIST website now and you want to download the NIST framework, either in Excel format or in PDF, you see these 5 components identify. So there are controls under identify, there are controls to protect, there are detect, respond, and recover. So, and the relevance of this to cybersecurity is that it is widely used for building resilient systems across industry. Any industry can use NIST, as a matter of fact. And that's why NIST is a US thing too, but we see it is being implemented here in Canada. So, and another one that we'll be looking at tonight will be Sarbanes-Oxley Act, SOX, and is another US regulation. And the focus of this is to ensure the accuracy and integrity of financial reporting. So, if your organization process financial reporting on behalf of their clients, they are obligated by these acts to comply with it. All the systems that are used to perform those financial transactions are the one that falls within the scope of this SOX regulation. The key requirements will be internal control for data security and access, and it requires regular audit and risk assessment. The relevance of this act to cybersecurity will be key for organizations that handle financial reporting systems, like I mentioned earlier. And the last one we'll be looking at for regulatory framework is ISO. This is very big, very global, very robust. And there are different kind of ISO too. There's right now for AI, that's the thing in trend. We are talking about ISO 42001. So, but this one is the most robust of the ISO, and is even, I don't want to say one is bigger than the other. I don't want to say ISO is better than GDPR, because the goal is different. GDPR is for privacy, while this is information system, and information system is broader than privacy. You understand? So this, if you've been seeing ISO 27001, it's the same thing as Information Security Management System, ISMS. So the key requirement of this is that it's a risk-based approach to information security and the implementation of controls for confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data or information. And I'm sure you now understand why we had to clarify the CIA triad earlier on. So the relevance of this to cybersecurity is that it's internationally recognized standard for security sensitive data. So organizations that need to comply with this must be ISO certified. In fact, if you see any company that is ISO certified, just know that it's not a small company. And the fact that they're ISO certified, because auditors know the work that goes into being ISO certified, it shows that it's not just anyhow company. And in fact, it can even help them gain competitive edge when it comes to seeking for contracts and all of that. So it's really that fantastic to have. And some organizations too might not be obligated to comply to ISO 27001, just like some people can just decide to implement GDPR. You can also decide to implement ISO 27001, but I think it's not free. But if you want to implement it, it's capital intensive. You will employ staff that will do the implementation from hand to hand. So, and I think that's all I have on frameworks. And lastly, I want us to see some notable examples of cybersecurity projects involving BA. We've talked about identity and access management implementation. So I remember I've interviewed someone for an IAM BA before. We're trying to gather requirements. We needed somebody who will have this the BA expertise in terms of gathering requirements, even vendor selection, with starting from even vendor RFPs process for IAM solution. So, and we know that as a BA on this kind of project, you want to know who are the industry player. We have SafePoint, we have Oracle, we have Okta, and all of that. So you define roles and permission and workflow for user access and all of that. Then another very popular cybersecurity project requiring BA. Here you want to develop, you want to participate in the development and document the business aligned incident response processes. And someone mentioned cloud security adoption. Maybe I was in tune, Another very popular cybersecurity project involving BAs would be cloud security adoption. Here, as a BA, you might want to be part of the team that will conduct a thorough risk assessment to identify potential threats. Collaborate with cloud service provider such as Amazon Web Services, Azure, uh, GCP, just to understand maybe shared responsibility models, with SaaS products, there are private cloud, hybrid cloud, public cloud, all of them have different shared responsibilities depending on what you're adopting, and so more. All of these things I put here are not exhaustive. There could be more to it. I just have to put all of this together as a just to track and as a point holder to all of everything we've been talking about. And lastly, in conclusion and takeaways, BA plays crucial roles in cybersecurity projects by ensuring security aligns with business objectives. BA helps define security requirements, assess risks, and ensure compliance. So I also want to emphasize here that cybersecurity goals does not exist on its own. It doesn't exist in some kind of isolated bubbles on its own. It has to exist with the business objective for it to make sense. So applying business analysis concept strengthens defenses. It helps minimize risk. It has significant value to cybersecurity projects. Like I told you, I once interviewed someone for a BA role on an IAM project. We needed someone with the requirements, activities around that project. BA bridges the technical and strategic priorities, ensuring that security measures are practical, compliant, and well aligned with organizational goals to enable sustainable growth. So cybersecurity is a team effort. BA has bridged the gap between security and business teams. So thank you so much for giving me the time. And I really do hope that this worth your time. And I apologize again for rushing through this slide. I didn't know that the time will not be enough. So, and before I will sign off, I will be sitting here and waiting if anyone have a question. I'm here to answer the question. So over to the host. Thank you for having me. And I hope it's worth your time.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Funshaw. We're really excited to have you. And honestly, I must say that it's been I wouldn't say it's information overload, but of course I think you have a whole lot of army, who will be looking to kind of deepen their cybersecurity expertise or deepen their specialization in cybersecurity. Honestly, for me, it's been amazing. Like I said, I love working on cloud projects a lot. Of course, I think I'm beginning to see the domain as well. So I think we can open it up, and lots of everyone is actually also pretty excited. I see a lot of claps here and there. People are looking to probably ask questions. So, yeah, I see a lot of thank you. Please feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question, and we can kind of take you from there. Looking for questions right now. Yeah, thank you for sure. This is insightful, very valuable. Yeah, informative, awesome. Do you think we should have given her more time? I think so. Okay, yeah, it was informative. Good, good, excellent. I'm excited to see all of the comments. Does anybody have questions at this time that you want to um share at this point?
I have a
We're
question.
taking questions. Yeah, go ahead, right
Can you hear
ahead.
me? Okay. So, for me, I've been a BA for a while, and I have zero knowledge of cybersecurity. Apart from the fact that my husband has been in cybersecurity since forever. That's the only thing I know. So, where do we start from? Because I see a lot of jobs on LinkedIn, like they want you to be a BA with cybersecurity domain knowledge, like the two intertwined together, right? So where do we start from? Do we start from just reading materials or writing certifications? Do we have to start thinking of CISSP on all those ISO things you guys talk about? Like from the bare minimum, where do we start from? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, okay. I'll leave it to Fusha because she's the expert. She's a BA and she's also a cybersecurity guru. So yeah, Fusha, take it away.
Yeah, so like you said, because I've operated on both ends, so I think I should be in the right position to advise you. So I would say that sure, you can start studying. I mentioned there are so many resources online. Udemy, you can take it from there. LinkedIn Learning, you can start preparing on your own. But I also want to encourage you. There's this ISC Square, just like we have IABA. ISC Square is a body, the certification body for CISSP and so many exam like CCSP. That's a cloud something something class as certification. Then we have ISACA for certification like CISA, CRISC, and CISM. So, but in particular now, I'm talking about ISC Square, not ISACA. They have this course which is free, CC, certified in cybersecurity. So it's a beginner level certification for people aspiring to know more about cybersecurity or entering that industry. You understand? So certified in cybersecurity, CC is free. If you go on ISC Square website, you will see there they have training material. I did CC. They will train you virtually and you can also write the exam. But let me warn you, the fact that it's an entry level exam does not mean it's cheap. In fact, because ISC square is a bit strict, and that's why CISSP is not something, it's not an exam anybody without prior knowledge can jump in. I'm telling
Absolutely.
you realistically, is not, yeah, do you understand? In fact, you can even just jump on ISACA certification like CISM CISA, but not with CISSP. So, and the fact that it is free, please take advantage of that. I hope this answers your question.
Awesome. Yeah, and the interesting thing is, like she said, her husband is a thought leader. So, and I think we can also take the conversation to our local group here to kind of start talking about it because, of course, um, we are also looking as a chapter to have more people get certified in cybersecurity domain, and it's very important. So the chapter is looking to have a study group, or we're probably looking to get a paid trainer, depending on how many people want to sign up. So let's take the conversation further. And someone is asking here, how do you become a BA in a specific domain or position the BA so that I can easily work in any industry? Yeah, I can let you take a stab at that, and then I can answer the second part. Well,
Yeah, I don't know if I will do justice to this question, but let me just try. So, I know that with BA, it's very common for a BA to be a BA generalist, which was what I was all through while I was working as a BA. Sometimes I was working on risk management. Sometimes I was working on medical solutions. Sometimes I was working on different kind of insurance projects and all of that. And I have been seeing some couple of BA specialty like BA Salesforce or whatever. I didn't go that route, honestly. But I know that with cybersecurity, there's no way you are going to be a generalist. It's either it's well defined. With cybersecurity, there's no cybersecurity generalist. The cybersecurity field is so broad that we have the IT audit, for instance. IT audit is different from GRC, which is compliance. So they are just two separate things. So it's either you are in audit, it's either you are in GRC. And I have the GRC expertise, but right now I work. I also did technical. So technical is even broader. We have the offensive security, we have the defensive security, we have the penetration testing, we have the vulnerability management, we have the threat intelligence, we have the application security, we have the cloud security, we have it's so broad. So you can't just be a generalist with cybersecurity, but with BA, you might want. I've seen some things like also BA service now. I didn't do that as well. Like I said, I was a BA generalist all through. So and I really do not want to. You can do it though, if you are interested. But I think it's also good to be a generalist because what if you are, especially in these days that the job market is crazy. What if you are just a BA Salesforce and it's not coming by? You should be able to work on other projects. So, and right now, another specialty is BA Cybersecurity. So, but then I really do not know how, if you want to be a specialist BA, I think you just go and take the course, maybe boot camp with Salesforce or the likes or ServiceNow. So I don't know if that's, like I said, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do justice with this question. So over to you, Ebenezer.
Yeah, sure. And I can actually really take a stab at this. One of the things that I say to people, because of course I also train as a BA, is that you need experience, and in order for you not to be easily replaceable, you need either you know a particular technology, just like you mentioned, maybe it's some cloud technology or ERP, all of that, or you have specialized domain knowledge. So, for instance, if all your life you've always worked within the financial services industry, that is your domain knowledge and expertise. You can add a technology to that, you're solid. Now, to answer that question, you can easily deepen your knowledge in any domain that you choose. I was trying to look for that. We have this schema that IABA has put up, and I can take that conversation further with anybody that is looking to specialize in a particular field. Cybersecurity is a great one. Infrastructure and cloud is another good one. But I tell you what, if you specialize, it's better for you. Never be a vanilla BA. Be a BA with 7 colors or specific colors if you want to. So somebody's also asking here, is it true what they say that you can jump into cybersecurity and be an expert in 90 days and also landing multiple six-figure income jobs in the same time frame of 90 days? Okay, that's an interesting question. Maybe Funshaw will want to shed some light on that.
So what's that question?
That is it true what they say that you can jump into cybersecurity and be an expert in 90 days and also land multiple six-figure income jobs in that same time frame of 90 days? Is it true?
It's not impossible, but please bear in mind that it's not going to, there's no cybersecurity generalist. So within that 3 months, that means you are going into a specialty cybersecurity, maybe GRC or audit. You are not, so the expert is just going to be within that domain in 90 days. You can get a six-figure job in 90 days possible, but right now the job market is crazy all over. I'm sure we know. So it's not guaranteed. Do you understand? So it's not so guaranteed. It's possible. It's not, I'm saying it's not impossible. You understand? So, but
Got it.
just know that your expertise is just within that domain. There's no way, up to now, I'm not a professional in everything cybersecurity. So
So your field is more GRC and compliance?
initially I was in compliance. No, initially I entered cybersecurity as technical anyway. Then now GRC.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So someone else has another question here. It says, how do you develop a portfolio showcasing your work as a BA in the cybersecurity field?
Yeah, I think I
I
already
think you already
answered that.
answered that. Okay, so
So,
capture your experience around cybersecurity projects, maybe doing projects on IAM or BCP or DLP or cloud. It must be, it would help you to get shortlisted for the interview. So you don't use one interview to apply for all jobs, but of course, you can tailor your resume based on those projects that you work for and you highlight your skills and the technologies you interacted with. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Someone says, I've been an electrical engineer with lots of experience in the manufacturing sector, project management back in Nigeria. I recently moved to Canada and so I need to focus on project management and I have scheduled my exam. Listening to these talks makes me interested in business analysis as well. My question is, how can I start my journey to be a, how can I create a link between PM and B? You know what? If you want to reach out, I can get to speak to you, Tosin Alao, so we can take that offline. Okay, I can help you with that. Is there a reason after you completed the CC you didn't do Computer Security Plus, but sat for CISSP? Please confirm if Computer Security Plus is a very important, is very important for UB in
yeah,
cybersecurity.
I was going to reply this person, but let me talk about it. So, Computer Security Plus is actually very good, very good. I studied, I trained, I bought the Computer Security Plus by training by Jason Deon. I read it and I understand the concept. But you know, I have a lot of certification in my life. In fact, whatever you see on my LinkedIn profile are the things that are just uh relevant to what I'm doing currently. A lot of my certification don't even make it to my profile. And when I was going into cybersecurity, I told myself I'm not about to be accruing certification. I got tired. If I didn't even want to do any certification, to be honest. But CC came, and it was free. Then okay, let me take advantage of that. I took advantage of that. But that's not enough. If you're with the cybersecurity, when I enter cybersecurity, I went with like maybe I think I got the role of an experienced person because at the point in my life where I entered cybersecurity, there's no way I was going to start as an entry level. So, and for all those kind of role, they will not be requiring for CC. They will be asking for CSIM, CSAR, CISSP. So, and without this certification, you are not, the market is competitive. You might not get invite. So that was why I decided that, okay, what do you want to do? Then I went to ISAC and I'm like, okay, having done so many certifications, let me just do CISM, which is Certified Information Security Manager, with the hope that that was where I would end. So that was why I did. So I didn't do CISS, I didn't do computer because I wasn't even about acquiring certification. But because I needed the job and I cannot lie to have what I don't have, that's me. Integrity is top notch for me. I cannot do that. So that was I had CISM. So after I had CISM, I got my job. But remember, I told you that the first job my first cybersecurity job is pure technical, and CISM is not that technical. And this was the reason why I had to do CISSP. It was not a requirement from my organization. They already considered me having CISM as okay, but because I needed to understand, because I needed to grasp the concept of technical cybersecurity, and I know that CISSP is one certification that I would have that will help me. I didn't have CISSP for the certification sake. I had it for the knowledge sake. Does this answer your question?
Awesome. I think that's actually, I like the way you ended it. It was for knowledge because a lot of people ask questions around, oh, how do I get into cybersecurity? You need to deepen your knowledge. You need to close your knowledge gap. If you are going to be a BA on those type of projects and you're going to talk intelligently, you're going to be in meetings, you need to understand what they're saying. You need to be able to deepen your knowledge and close that knowledge gap. Nothing trumps closing your knowledge gap. So we can take that conversation to our local group. Let's see how we can um, talk more about closing our knowledge gap in cybersecurity. I'm interested, and if anybody is interested too, please feel free to send me an email, president@nb.iba.org. And if you can see my screen, there is a book here by our speaker, which is called The Catalyst Code. Now, this book is an interesting book. I'm about to buy a copy, and I really love it. It's talking about activating your identity, values, and gifts for triumph and victory. You might want to get a copy of it. It's an amazing book, I must say that for sure. So please go to Amazon and grab a copy. Um, our speaker will be excited that you've done that. Okay. Yes. So people are asking me, we need to talk about this bestseller. Do you want to just chip in a word? Because I'm probably not doing justice to this. Or can we
So
have a
about the
link to the
book.
book? People are asking. Yes.
Yeah, so the book is like you said, it's about your identity because I find that discovering ourselves is the number one thing we need to even succeed in every sphere of life. So even as a BA, you see a lot of people struggling to deliver. It's another thing to do interview and get a job, but a lot of people timid on the job. And this is where identity comes in. So the book is so rich. I talk about you gaining your confidence, you having a great hold of your self-esteem and knowing your worth. And if you're able to do this, even of your personal life, definitely it's going to transcend on your professional life. The book shaped my life. There are several things. This imposter syndrome, I dealt with it for a long time. until I came into that point for which led me to writing that book, which is something related to my life. I wasn't able to deal with all of that. So I think it's an eye opener, and all the step I took in order to find myself at that level were in that book as well. So yeah, so I will
Okay,
appreciate your patronage and your honest review if you purchase the book.
awesome, awesome. And I particularly love one thing you said, dealing with imposter syndrome. For me, that is actually important. And permit me to talk very freely here. Sometimes when people are immigrants into a country, there's that tendency to, have that imposter syndrome or try to be what you're not, or try to have an alter ego, so to speak. So that book is great. I think you guys should get it for sure. So thank you very much, everybody. I know we've overshot our time. But of course, we can take the conversation further. If you want to send an email to president@mb.ib.org, I'm happy to connect. And if you're on our local group as well, we are definitely happy to connect with you. So, without much ado, I think this is all we can take tonight. I will say that it's been amazing. If we can take a group picture, would appreciate that, everybody. Let me stop sharing here real quick. Um, if we can